How do you guard against creating entitled children?
Ooh, love this question. So I'm going to give a definition of what I think about entitlement, and then we'll work our way into kind of how to not get there. So I think every adult says this. I don't want to have an entitled kid, but we have to start with what does that really mean under the word so we know what we're optimizing or avoiding. To me, what entitlement really is fear of frustration. Okay, and I want to explain this. So I think about something that happened years ago. I'm in my private practice. I'm seeing this very wealthy parents. They were self-made, did really well. And they came to me precisely because they were flying from Hawaii. I guess they called first class. Their 16-year-old son gets up to board and the parents say nonchalantly, it wasn't a big deal to them. Oh, sweetie, we're not boarding yet. We're not first class. And the kid just had a total meltdown, like a parent's worst nightmare. And they basically came to me saying like, how did we get here? The most well-meaning parents, lovely. And I think the kid was really, really lovely too. So if we think about entitlement, because that's a prime example, as fear of frustration, everything that kind of went on in the 16 years before this event kind of starts to make sense. This was a kid where it seemed like every time he was upset, there almost was this quick exit out of frustration, right? We both live in New York City. I don't think this kid had ever been on the subway, as an example. Now, do I think the subway is the key to not being entitled? No, that's literally one concrete thing. But I think about the driver they had. This kid wants to be somewhere in a second. It's like in the car, right? This kid didn't make soccer, no problem. We have this extra nanny who could take you in the car. We'll drive you right away to some other town and you make that soccer team. Every time there was an ounce of frustration, what got wired next to it was someone basically frantically running around to get that kid out of frustration and into kind of relative success and ease. So during our kids' earliest years, they're learning what feelings am I supposed to feel? Then what feelings do I have coping skills for? What feelings can I be resilient in the face of? Or what feelings overwhelm me because I have the feelings and none of the skills, but then actually also overwhelm like everyone else around me. So much so that they will put structures in place to make sure I don't feel this way. Now, no parent thinks this way. They're not like, I'm doing this so my kid doesn't feel frustration. But the truth is when our kids are frustrated, it's frustrating for us. Dealing with your kid being upset is hard. Like we have to have frustration tolerance of our kids' frustration. And I think one of the patterns that happened was there was just always a way out. And I think for this family, money becomes that much more of a compelling way. It's just always available. So it was like always a way out. Mm-hmm. The truth is to not have entitled kids, you actually have to have kids who learn to deal with the frustrations of the world. They wait in line.
And would you categorize disappointments as well?
All of it, frustration, uncomfortable feelings, which is why, and I'm a practical person, so I'll give some action here. My kids live like a pretty nice life. They weren't, not like that kid, but still, when I think about my kids saying, oh, do I have to go to my sister's soccer game? Can I just have a play date? There's moments where I'm like, no, like literally the whole point is you will go to your sister's soccer game because it's not optimizing your own kind of schedule. Because in life, to not be entitled, you sometimes have to do things you don't want to do. Why are you learning to fold laundry, even though sometimes someone does that? Because good people learn how to fold laundry. And by the way, it's not like they celebrate it right away. It's actually just kind of annoying. Why are you going on an errand with me, even if I have a babysitter at home? Because it's kind of not about you and you're just going to deal with that. Why am I saying to you, oh, you weren't invited to that party? That stinks. Instead of, we'll plan our own party and you can have 5 friends and we'll make our party better than that kid's party, is because actually being long-term greedy, I want my kid to actually feel capable in the face of frustration. And that's the thing about entitlement I think we miss and the literature misses. When I think about that 16-year-old who had a tantrum, like the Delta, lounge, wherever it was, he was very vulnerable. In some ways, what he was saying through his behavior is, I have not felt frustration a day in my life.
So I don't know what to do.
Where's the exit? Where's the exit? You've always given me an exit. Where's the exit? Where is it? You're supposed to be. I can't deal with this. It's so vulnerable and fragile. And I don't mean that in a mean way. I mean that in like a very empathic way, because these kids have actually never learned the skills to deal with all the bumps in life. They've just had their road kind of smoothed over for them. So when they get to a bump, not only do they not know how to deal, any bump feels like a mountain if you've been given a perfectly, smoothed out road.